I got to be honest, I cannot believe the college football season is already. It's already in the books. Pete Mundo, Heartland College Sports Weekly, part of heartlandcollegesports.com. Thanks so much for joining us, whether it's on the podcast, the radio show, YouTube, Facebook, whatever it might be. Thanks so much for joining us. We're your independent Big 12 digital media outlet. And, 14 weeks after the fact, we have no more college football. Yes, we have Army, Navy. I love our military. I'm into it. But it's not the Big 12. Come on. There's nothing on the line here. We're missing something. Well, we got the announcement over the weekend. We did the podcast on Sunday. If you weren't a part of that, go download it on iTunes. We do it after each and every weekend of games. But then we got the bowl games later in the day. So what I want to do is take you through the bowl games and give you what I think are the best Big 12 bowl games in order. We'll start at the top, and I'm not going to, preview them and do a deep dive into them right now. Just want to look at them for you and be kind of, tease them for you a little bit and rank them for you. Let's start with the Oklahoma Sooners, who are, of course, in the college football playoff, taking on none other than the mighty Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, don't forget, OU is a 17-point underdog in that Sugar Bowl a few years ago with Trevor Knight at quarterback, and they blew out Nick Saban's team. Just remember that. I could not believe OU opened up as a 14-point underdog. The fact that OU is going to be told for a month how much garbage they have on the defensive side of the ball is going to be a good thing for this team. Nick Saban said, I want no part of playing Georgia again. I don't want to play Georgia again. That was ridiculous. He was totally having reverse psychology, and the media, led by Kirk Herbstreit, bought it hook, line, and sinker like the suckers that they are. He doesn't want to face Oklahoma. Are you kidding me? Think about the teams that Nick Saban struggled with over the last bunch of years. Two teams stick out in my mind. The Oklahoma Sooners and Ole Miss, Hugh Freeze's offense. Those are the kind of offenses that he has problems with. His team is built in the SEC, and to play in the SEC, it is not built to play against teams like the Oklahoma Sooners. Now, that being said, if Marquise Hollywood Brown is not healthy for this game, it's going to be a big loss for OU. But Alabama, as good as the defense is, they've had better defenses. What's made this team that much better is the fact that they have a Heisman contender at quarterback, and the wide receivers are great. But the defense has been better for Nick Saban in the past. So this OU offensive line, this is arguably the best offensive line in America, and finally people are seeing that. I've been seeing guys and gals throw up stuff on Twitter like, wow, this OU offensive line is the real deal. Wow, they're really good. Yeah, we've been watching them all season. You should as well. Once in a while, flip on a Big 12 game. Stop with your, SEC love and your Big 10 love and check out the fact that, hey, teams in this league, it's not all about the wide receiver in the Big 12. It's just not. So obviously that's the top game in the conference that we'll be keeping an eye on as we get closer and closer to Saturday, December 29th. Then you've got Texas and Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. And by the way, let me just say this to any Big 12 fan. I don't care how much you hate OU. I don't care how much you hate Texas. Every OU fan should be rooting for Texas in the Sugar Bowl. Every Texas fan should be rooting for OU in the Orange Bowl. And every other fan of the other 8 teams in the Big 12 should be rooting for OU and Texas. You want to slay the heavyweights in the SEC. Do you realize how big of a boon that would be for this conference if your top 2 teams blow out, not even blow out, just win at least one of those 2 games against SEC heavyweights? Now, we know what's going to happen, right? What's going to happen is that the media is going to say, well, Georgia wasn't motivated. Georgia got totally screwed not making the college football playoff. They're not motivated for this game. They're not into this game. Who cares? That's basically what happened when OU rolled Bama with Trevor Knight a few years ago in that Sugar Bowl. I mean, it was the same excuse. Alabama's not into it. Alabama only gets jacked up for national championship games. All right, good one. I got it. People see through that nonsense. So, you should all be rooting for OU in Texas. And I know I'm going to get accused of being an OU Texas homer. I'm not. I want to see the conference do well. And if you can slay the two big SEC dogs, guess what? That's great for the branding of this Big 12, which is on the rise, while conferences like the Pac-12 shooting down the other way just a little bit. They are. All right, third most important game in the Big 12 bowl season, Oklahoma State and Missouri in the Liberty Bowl. Now, I know you're going to say it's the Liberty Bowl. Come on, that's going to be your third most important game. It is. Here's why. Same reason. Big 12, SEC. I want the Big 12 to beat the SEC in every stinking game that it plays because you can tell I'm getting worked up. That damn conference drives me bonkers. And with the way that the SEC was treated by a lot of people over this last weekend of the season, and the incredible bias that we know is there but continues to confirm itself day after day after day, I want to see Oklahoma State give a crap about the Liberty Bowl, which, by the way, with Mike Gundy and this team, with where it's been this year, I don't know what to expect. I really don't. Is it going to be the team that lost to Kansas State by 19? Or is it going to be the team that, played with Texas, played with Oklahoma, played with West Virginia? Which team is going to show up? Your guess is as good as mine, because this is a Missouri team that beat Florida. Yeah, the mighty Florida Gators, another arguably overrated SEC team, by 21 points. So let's see Oklahoma State go out there, slow down Drew Lock a little bit, put some big points on the board, care. I'd love to see this team care and get a win. So there we go, 1, 2, 3 in order of importance in Big 12 bowl games. Obviously OU at the top, taking on Alabama. Texas and Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. Oklahoma State taking on Missouri in the Liberty Bowl. Then we get to Iowa State against Washington State. This is a fascinating one because this game, you put Mike Leach's offense against John Heacock's defense. On top of that, you put a bunch of Cyclones fans in San Antonio. I hope San Antonio's been stocking up on its Busch Light the last few days because they're going to need it. Our own Derek Duke of HeartlandCollegeSports.com. He is a San Antonio native. He's going to be writing a guide to San Antonio for Cyclones fans heading down that way. So stay tuned for that on the website. But you get Mike Leach, which, by the way, brings its own set of fun to it, and that great Washington State offense. Let's see what John Heacock does and what he draws up. I want to see Brock Purdy in the Alamo Dome. I want to see this Iowa State team, which was in the Liberty Bowl last year, got a win. Now I want to see him on the next level of a big stage, the Alamo Bowl. I mean, that's a big game. That's like the third-tier game for the Big 12. And by the way, the Alamo Bowl was wise to take on Iowa State over West Virginia because the West Virginia fan base was not going to travel to San Antonio. It was very important that they got an Iowa State team and a fan base that travels like crazy. Memphis was bonkers last year. So good job by the Alamo Bowl to pick that up. So Iowa State, fourth biggest game in the Big 12 Bowl schedule. Then I'll go West Virginia and Syracuse. A couple of old Big East rivals in the Camping World Bowl down in Orlando. I think it was the Camping World Bowl a couple of years ago where West Virginia played Miami, right? I think that was the Camping World Bowl, and it didn't have a lot of juice to it. That was the Skylar Howard team, and I don't know. Something about that bowl game never really excites me, and it's great, I guess, if you're an old Big East fan, that to have these two teams playing each other. And I know Syracuse is pretty good this year, but it just feels like a letdown for West Virginia to think it was going from playing in a Big 12 championship game, competing for a conference title, to being in the Camping World Bowl. I don't know how much this team is going to care. They played in the Heart of Dallas Bowl game last year, and I know Will Grier was hurt for it, but the stadium was embarrassingly thin. Nobody was at that game. There was no juice to it. I know it was two teams in Dallas from like 1,500 miles away in Utah and West Virginia, but still. I'm not overly juiced for that game, but I'll tell you what, you get Big 12, you get a solid ACC opponent, let's beat them, let's take care of business. Then I go to Baylor, and Baylor taking on Vanderbilt in the Texas Bowl in Houston. Good stadium, always a good venue, always a good time. And on top of that, hey, it's the SEC, man. You got to win those SEC games. Even if it's a mediocre team like Vanderbilt, And I want to see how much better, how improved this Baylor team gets with 3 extra weeks of practice. I mean, this is enormous for Matt Rule. If you're a Baylor fan and you're looking at this game and you're into this, obviously, and what's going on here with this program and with this team, this extra 3 to 4 weeks of practice time is huge for 2019. To go from 1 win to bowl eligibility on the final weekend of the regular season and get this team to this Texas Bowl, there is so much value that you can't even describe. That's how big this is for Matt Rule in this program, and kudos to him for getting his team there. Great job. So you got a Big 12 SEC matchup. Last but not least, in terms of ranking the Big 12 bowl games, TCU and Cal in the Cheez-It Bowl. The Cheez-It Bowl. I gotta love these names. In Phoenix, Arizona at Chase Field. It's a Wednesday night. It's against Cal. Cal's not a team that gets anybody all that juiced up. Hey, I'm happy for TCU that it did get to a bowl game. I mean, the fact that Gary Patterson had this team win its final 2 games, big deal, also big for a young team. So I'm not going to take that away from him, but I'm not going to sit here and say I'm overly juiced for it. Okay? I'll watch it. I'm into it. I care about it, but I'm not losing any sleep on Christmas Day saying, geez, I can't wait for the Cheez-It Bowl tomorrow. All right? I'm not going to do it. They went 7-5 this year. Did Cal. They got a couple of good wins, a couple of bad losses. They beat Washington and lost to UCLA. How that happens, I'll never know, but go figure. So there you have it, ranking the Big 12 bowl games, best to worst. OU, Texas, Oklahoma State, Iowa State, West Virginia, Baylor, and TCU. By the way, a lot of news this week in the Big 12 Conference. All right, a lot of news. We all know what happened. Whether it's something like Cliff Kingsbury, USC, Bill Snyder retiring, we'll get to it all coming up next on Heartland College Sports Weekly, part of HeartlandCollegeSports.com, your Big 12 independent digital media outlet. And by the way, guys, on Facebook Live, we have more videos coming up. Stay tuned for it. Please do share this video as well. And we got more content coming your way. Check it out, HeartlandCollegeSports.com.